Hello there. Last night, the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson ordered the UK to go into a state of lockdown so as to do its part in dealing with the current global situation. Firstly, as ever, please kick that YouTube algorithm up the jacksie by giving this video a big fat like, and I'm always uploading new content, so please do check my YouTube channel daily. In what must have been a very hard decision for a UK Tory politician to make, at 8:30 p.m. last night, the 23rd of March 2020, Boris Johnson told the population that they must stay at home. The only exceptions to this will be for essential food and medicine shopping as infrequently as possible, one outing for exercise every day, travelling to and from essential work, or for a medical need, and to provide help or care to a vulnerable person. And this will be enforced, and there is even talk of a £30 fine for anyone who fails to comply. You mustn't meet with mates or family members you do not live with. Ceremonies like weddings and baptisms are banned, but funerals can continue. And the big one for most people will be that gatherings of more than 2 people in public are banned, unless you're all from the same household. And to back this up and remove many of the reasons people find to leave their homes, the government has issued a list of all the businesses and premises that must close forthwith, with the measures to be reviewed in 3 weeks' time to assess whether they can be relaxed or not. A link to that document is provided in the descriptions box below this video. But the message is that all non-essential businesses and premises must now shut. And all this came into force at close of business last night. Although the wording does make it seem more of a request than something that is being enforced when it says near the end of the document, "We are asking the businesses and premises and other venues outlined above not to open for trade." However, it does also say that these premises and other venues must close as they involve prolonged close social contact. And here's the list. Firstly, food and drink businesses. Restaurants must close, but food delivery and takeaway can remain operational from these premises. Cafes, including workplace canteens, but food delivery and takeaways can remain operational, but cafes or canteens at hospitals, care homes or schools, prison and military canteens, services providing food or drink to the homeless can all remain operational. Public houses must close. Bars and nightclubs, including bars in hotels or members' clubs, must close. On retail, hair, beauty and nail salons, including piercing and tattoo parlours, must close, as must massage parlours. All retail must close, with the notable exceptions of supermarkets and other food shops, health shops, pharmacies including non-dispensing pharmacies, petrol stations, bicycle shops, home and hardware shops can stay open, laundrettes and dry cleaners, and bicycle shops mentioned again because they must be doubly important. Garages, car rentals, pet shops, corner shops, newsagents, post offices and banks can all stay open. Outdoor and indoor markets must close, unless they are market stalls which offer essential retail such as grocery and food. Auction houses and car showrooms must close. Now for hotels. Hotels, hostels, bed and breakfasts, campsites and boarding houses for commercial use must all close, except where people live in these as interim abodes whilst their primary residence is unavailable, and key workers can continue to stay in hotels or similar where required. Caravan parks and sites for commercial uses must shut, except where people live permanently in caravan parks or are staying in caravan parks as interim abodes where their primary residence is not available. Now for non-residential institutions. Libraries must shut. Community centres, youth centres and similar must also shut. Facilities may remain open for the purpose of hosting essential voluntary or public services such as food banks or homeless services, and the government says it will do everything to support vulnerable people who are without a network of friends and families. Places of worship for services must shut, except for funerals following the social distancing guidelines. Places of worship should remain open for solitary prayer. Live streaming of a service without audience would be permissible. And cinemas, theatres and concert halls must shut, except for live streaming of a performance by a small group could be permissible with social distancing observed. And now for assembly and leisure. Museums and galleries must shut. Bingo halls, casinos and betting shops must shut. Spas must shut. Skating rinks must shut. Fitness studios, gyms, swimming pools or other indoor leisure centres must shut. And arcades, bowling alleys, soft playing centres and similar must also shut. And these all have no exceptions. And now on to outdoor recreation. Enclosed spaces in parks including playgrounds, sports courts and pitches and outdoor gyms or similar must all shut. Everyone is instructed to comply with these rules, and any business operating in contravention of them will be committing an offence. But the document does give a link to where businesses can find details on any financial aid available to them. And the screed also says, Environmental Health and Trading Standards officers will monitor compliance with these regulations, with police support provided if appropriate. Businesses and premises that breach them will be subject to prohibition notices and potentially unlimited fines. So beware. The trouble is that there are some feral idiots in our society that insist on making a nuisance, or worse, of themselves. The Independent and the Yorkshire Evening Post both report that large crowds of youths coughed and spat at frontline emergency workers attending a serious incident on Saturday night. And according to the reports, PC Rachel Story of the West Yorkshire Police tweeted, "So whilst scene guarding at a serious incident tonight, we were faced with large crowds shoulder to shoulder spitting on the floor and coughing at us when asking them to move back. Yes, coughing, then the target of egg throwers on passing motorbikes. Just why? No excuse." And another PC, Charlotte Nichols, replied to the tweet saying, "It was just vile. I had to wash my boots last night when I got home as I couldn't stop thinking about the amount of spit I'd stood in." The chairman of the West Yorkshire Police Federation, Brian Booth, said that this was not an isolated incident and that those who engage in this type of behaviour are unlikely to adhere to any lockdown rules. This sort of behaviour just beggars belief, does it not? But even with the new laws that are being rushed through Parliament at the moment, there are doubts as to whether the police can deal with this on their own or not, mainly due to illness levels amongst officers at the moment. The Mail reports that the chairman of the Metropolitan Police Federation, Ken Marsh, has cast doubt on officers' ability to deal with Boris Johnson's lockdown, meaning the army may need to help enforce these strict new measures. Talking to the BBC, he said, "As you quite rightly point out, we haven't seen one of the 24,000 officers that we lost across the country. So it will be very, very challenging and very difficult for us with what's put in front of us. But we don't actually know what is being put in front of us yet, other than we're going to be asked to disperse crowds. It's going to be a real challenge." He also said that The army are already in place on the outskirts of London and across the country, and I don't doubt again for 1 minute that they will be called if needed. And this was backed up by the National Chairman of the Police Federation of England and Wales, John Apter, who said he could not imagine how they would deal with the ban on gatherings of more than 2 people. But isn't it strange? 1 minute we're trying to coax a reluctant population out into parks and to engage in walking and exercise. Then when people are told not to go outside, they all suddenly get the urge to travel the country looking for places to visit and places to run. But I'm glad to report that my little hilltop town of Shaftesbury was already generally obeying the request to maintain social distance yesterday. Even on a weekday, the town is usually quite busy with shoppers, workers and visitors, especially in good weather like we had yesterday. But as you can see from the video I took yesterday of the High Street, which usually has a nice small town bustle to it, most shops were already shut, with the one queue I did see already having self-policed with 6-foot gaps between people. Park Walk, that attracts so many people out for an afternoon stroll with family, friends or the dog, had very few people, and those that were there did all keep a polite distance from each other. And even the well-trod Gold Hill of the Hovis advert fame was devoid of all activity. Even a nice sunny afternoon couldn't tempt people out of their homes. And not a police officer in sight either. All I can say to people is, please be responsible and observe the law, so that our emergency services and police can get on with their allotted task of keeping us all safe, instead of them having to deal with unruly gits. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it. So what do you think about this lockdown? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.